They're not emotional about, oh my God, I went up today, went down today, what am I doing? Am I on track or not? So there's a lot of benefit to just having a low volatility, and also that those assets are not correlated to the volatility of the public market. So for clients that want both or hybrid, that's great. This is a diversification hedge. You've got some volatility here, you sink in a couple assets that keep you steady, and so now you're able to hedge some of that risk as an overall retirement planning strategy.
Hi, I'm Klaus, and this is State 48 Homeowner.
Hey, my friend, welcome back to the State 48 Homeowner Podcast. And today we're talking about the pros and cons of buying real estate property with your self-directed IRA. And we're here with JP Dahdah, the CEO and founder of Vantage IRAs. Now, you've been around for 20 years.
That's right.
And you guys,
with the hair. Yeah.
And you guys manage $3 billion in assets.
Over $3 billion under administration. We don't manage it, we administer it. But yes, $3 billion plus. And we've served over 18,000 clients since inception. We were founded in 2004. We've been busy trying to get this message out about what our real choices are, what we can do with our tax-favored retirement accounts.
Now, if people want to go and they can go and watch the other video about what a self-directed what it is and all that kind of stuff, sure, of a self-directed IRA. But there's a lot of ways that you can invest that. Today we're going to talk about real estate, and there's a lot of different ways that you can do it. Now, the way my personal flavor is buy and hold. Now you can do fix and flip. There's BRRRR. You can do all. I like the buy and hold strategy, and one of the reasons why I like that is because when you have that passive regular IRA or 401k, it's what are we looking at in a regular normal appreciation?
You mean for a rental property?
No, just in a regular IRA 401k.
I mean, I think most financial advisors would probably tell you that they're trying to get you 8%, 10%, maybe, if they're lucky.
But I would see like 6%.
Yeah, that's not, if they're lucky. That's what they're going to try to tell you. But obviously, it's the long-term gain.
Yeah,
volatility, it's things like that. So
the historical average on appreciation for real estate is 3.8%. Now we've seen a lot more than that the last few years, and so people go, well, 3.8%, that's a lot lower than 6% or 8%, but we're also getting rent off of those. And so that really significantly raises that return because you're getting rent each and every month. So you're getting cash flow in addition to the appreciation of the property. And so really we're seeing returns of often 8 to 15%, sometimes even higher than that. And so that's why a lot of people like just that strategy. But then, they're also doing those fix and flips. They're also doing different other strategies as well.
Right. I think that, if I was a financial advisor, I think what you've described as buying and holding rental properties is a growth and income strategy.
Yeah.
Right. So, the jargon, depending on how you slice it, right? You talk about cash flow, we talk about income. But I think that that's an important element for any investor or retirement saver, is to try to identify which are the asset strategies, the asset classes, the markets that they feel comfortable with, that they feel they could understand a little bit better, that they have the appetite and the risk tolerance for. And based on where they are in their financial life and their financial journey, sometimes it's a combination of things. And so, without getting, too comprehensive about these things, I think it's the message we've always said is money's personal, and you really have to understand yourself, your relationship to money, what your goals are, all those things. And then when you have now, you're in a position to make a choice on an investment. Why are you making that choice? Is it because you're too busy and you just need to set it and forget it and hope that it happens for you? Is it because you don't feel confident about the financial literacy? So these things are just some of the considerations, but self-directed IRAs is self-direction, right? Doesn't mean you have to, alone. Doesn't mean that, you can't call us for guidance. But it's really about understanding what you're trying to accomplish and taking some personal responsibility, because these accounts really allow you to have total control. of your money. And, depending on who you talk to, right? If you talk to a financial advisor and you have an IRA with Schwab or Fidelity, they will say, oh, we have self-directed IRAs, right? And you're like, oh, great, I want to buy a rental property. No.
You can have this or this or this.
Self-directed to any stock market investments that we offer, right? So these terms, right, the control and self-directed, and now they're becoming, once again, to try to be kind of confusing to people, because they start hearing about, I heard of self-directed IRA, I can buy real estate and I can do this. And the companies that offer these accounts, it's really we're the ones that create some of the investment choice restrictions, freedoms that you can enjoy based on the things you want to put your hard-earned retirement savings into.
So how does somebody go about buying real estate with their self-directed IRA?
Perfect. So the first thing is obviously that we've already passed I've opened a self-directed IRA account. I've transferred probably money from my traditional custodian stock market restricted company, and now I want to buy a rental property, right? So there are 3 ways that a self-directed IRA investor who wants to buy rental properties can structure their investment purpose, right? The first one, here's the kind of the shortcut, the cheat sheet. They're the same 3 ways you can buy rental properties outside of an IRA. Okay, so the first one is cash. So if you've got enough money in your IRA to, whether it's a Roth, simple, the type doesn't matter. It all could be self-directed. So if you've got enough money to buy the property that you'd like, to buy it and to afford to maintain it, and you've got enough cash, then that's the direct investment from Vantage IRA. And you're going through the process of closing through the title company and everything, and you're just paying cash. Now, in that example, get a tenant in there. The tenant's going to cut a check, not to you, but to your IRA. Right? So your IRA is the owner. Your IRA is the one who is vested and owns on the warranty deed of that. If there's an expense on the property, that investment property, your IRA
is going to pay it.
An expense. There's no taxable consequences for that flow of money. It's very important that people understand that, because we're so trained to believe and to think, oh my God, if there's money coming out of my account, I'm going to get taxed. No, well, your money has to go from Schwab to buy Apple stock. It just happens electronically, so people don't really think about it, right? It's just like, the money's just it's moving. But with private market investments like real estate, there's actually a check sometimes that has to be cut, and someone has to receive it, deposit it. So those are the things that I love sharing with people when they're learning. It was first learning this is just kind of understanding. Yeah, well, of course that's the way it works outside the IRA. Well, but the owner is the IRA. So it's your money in there, but you're a different entity than the IRA.
And I can tell you have to remind yourself of this, because I had expenses on regular rental property. This year I bought an AC from my IRA property. My IRA bought the AC, and it came tax time, and I'm like, oh, cool, got that write off. Oh, no, I don't. That's the IRA bought that.
The first one is cash. Right?
Yep.
Second one is what I call investing through entities, right? So entity structures, whether it's an LLC, a limited partnership, a private fund, right? A private placement, a private REIT, anything with the word private. Okay. These entities are utilized obviously for pooling money, right? For having people become partners in a transaction. So for a lot of clients that maybe want to diversify into different assets with their IRA, or maybe they don't have enough money to pay cash and just take down on one property, they look for financial friends. They share the fact that they're doing this. Not everybody in that LLC needs to use their IRA to be a partner, but you could utilize the money that you'd like to invest in the membership units or the limited partnership units. So it's just like the public market where you own shares, but you're just owning shares of a private company or a private entity. And and so a lot of our clients use that also for the benefits of asset protection. If they're rental property, if they're going to invest in property, that's an added benefit to using an entity like an LLC. And then as far as structuring, again, you can kind of determine who the manager, who owns what, and who's responsible for certain activities. And so that's the second way. It's very common. And for real estate investors, I would say it's like the go-to, right? So in that example, your IRA is investing in a private company, and so your statement is going to have the name of the LLC that you're investing in. The manager of that entity, once the money's been invested to buy those units, it is at a bank with a business checking account, and then the manager of that entity is going to do the transactions on the property. They're going to do the purchase agreement, and pay the expenses on that checkbook. They're going to receive the income from the tenant. So I think the money flow is just an important for people to understand. In the first example, Vantage is cutting checks, Vantage is receiving checks, Vantage is cutting checks. That's where the money flow is, because it's the custodian to the property is direct. On these entities, it's Vantage holds the shares of the private entity, but all the investments then happen through the entity.
Okay.
So it's still not taxable, but it's important for people to know it's still IRA money. So whatever percentage of ownership you have in that entity, that same percentage has to come back eventually, right? For you to get distributions as a retiree when it's time to take the money, and live off of it. So that's the second option.
Okay. What's the third?
The third, leverage. Believe it or not, a lot of course, when people first hear about self-directed IRAs, they're like, oh my God, not only did I know I have to buy real estate, I can borrow money. I can leverage my savings that I have. I never do that. Like, that's crazy. But you can. Okay. So remember, the IRA is defined as a trust. So think about the IRA as a retirement trust. So you've been putting money in that retirement trust, and now you want to buy a property, right? So you just learned you can buy it with a mortgage. Well, there are specific types of loans called non-recourse loans that you need to obtain. They're the only types of loans that you can obtain when you're using an IRA. And the IRA is the borrower, so that's why it has to be non-recourse. Remember, it's your account, but the IRA trust, retirement trust, doesn't have a credit score.
Yep.
And so the down payments on these loans are typically in the range of 30 to 50%. They typically have a little bit of a higher interest because the banks and the entities that
and the non-recourse is because it's not an individual. They're not lending to an individual. Right. They're lending to an entity.
Lending, right?
Yeah.
Their security is the property. So because if you have that credit, but you got money in your IRA, you can still do it. But it's the underwriting of those loans is really, they need to make sure that there's enough what they call debt service ratio, right? So if you buy a property, they're going to underwrite and approve you if you could prove to that lender, that bank, that your cash, if let's say the mortgage payment's $1,000, they're going to want to see that the rent is $1,250 typically. So because the rent's coming into the IRA, and since the IRA is the borrower, the IRA is paying the mortgage. Okay, so that's kind of how that money flows there. But yes, you can leverage, which I think is very important for people, because you could technically pool your money through an LLC with people, and then use that entity to put a down payment that now is 30 to 50%, and you can still utilize the other people's money strategy to increase your return on your investments, and to make pretend that you have saved that much more money in your account. But there's certainly some specific things that we like to educate clients on. So if that's a strategy that excited you when you heard it, please contact our office and let us make sure that you get a full understanding of what using leverage with an IRA requires and the rules around it.
So let's talk about the pros and cons.
Sure, absolutely.
So some of the pros.
Control. I mean, the number one, I think, benefit for people is these accounts solve what they consider an investment dilemma or problem. Like, I feel stuck in the stock market. I wish I could use this money to do X. And a self-directed IRA gives you the ability to have total control of where you're directing your investments, sometimes defining the terms of those investments. So that control, for people who like to know where their money is and want to control and have the ability to influence the returns and the investments on that control, that's the number one benefit. Number two.
Now, let's talk on that, though. With that pro comes a caveat. That means that you're moving from a completely passive investment strategy to more of an active. So what's the next one?
So low volatility. I mean, when you're talking about self-directed IRAs, you're talking about the whole benefit is you're investing outside the stock market, right? So there's two different markets, the private market, which is for self-directed IRAs, and then there's the public market. The public market's volatile, right? It goes up and down every day. The pricing of your stuff is, what did it go today? What are we going to? In the private market, it's very low, if not, very low, certainly not volatility. The volatility is very low, if not none. Doesn't mean that prices don't go up and down, but it takes a lot longer because they're typically very liquid assets, right? Real estate, investment in a private company, a startup, you're going to wait for a while. If you have maybe investment in a development project, you're waiting, right? So the benefit to that is clients feel more confident because once they make the investment and there's an expected return, they're not emotional about, oh my God, I went up today, went down today, what am I doing? Am I on track or not? So there's a lot of benefit to just having a low volatility, and also that those assets are not correlated to the volatility of the public market. So for clients that want both or hybrid, that's great. This is a diversification hedge. You've got some volatility here. You sink in a couple assets that keep you steady. And so now you're able to hedge some of that risk as an overall retirement planning strategy. So that's another pro. I think ultimately it's about investing in what you know and understand.
Yeah.
If you're that type of person that has knowledge, comfort, understanding in any type of alternative investment strategy to the stock market. You can be a private lender. You can invest in private companies. You can be an angel investor. You can invest in real estate. For most of our clients, that's the big one, right? But if you feel that you believe that investing in a strategy different than the stock market is the right move for you, then being able to use the money from your retirement account to deploy capital into those strategies is a huge benefit for people.
Yeah.
Right? It's like they know where their money is. Think about even in real estate, right? Like you identify the location. You know what the rents are going to be. If that tenant doesn't do well, you kick them out.
Yep.
You can increase the rent. You can do it. So you have that control, and you are the one, or even if a professional's doing it, you're just so much closer to your money.
Yeah.
That every time I ask people about where they have their money in the stock, I'm like, I don't know. It's in an IRA. No, I know, but like, what's the investment? I can't tell you. Yeah, maybe mutual. What mutual fund? No idea. What are the holding? No idea. So most people are so detached to their money that they've worked so hard for, and they're hoping for the returns to be there. But when they don't, sometimes they do. They get all excited, right? But what is the long-term view on some of that? And if they don't know where the money is, you don't know how to make decisions to pull the money, not pull the money. Am I doing good?
But to have the understanding of what you're investing in is
I call it the value of the handshake. But at least with private assets, you typically at least have the opportunity to meet the people that are helping you with your money. Sit down with them, help them explain it. You can obviously come to workshops, go to webinars, learn about different things, pitfalls from professionals that are experts at the game. With a stock market, it's just the portfolio manager. You're not going to talk to them. These companies, they're just. Look, I used to be a financial advisor. Like the whole reason I started this company was because I understood how broken the system is, and so I really feel like money's personal, and I feel like that's one of the biggest pros is whatever your belief system is around what is going to give you confidence on certain things. That's where I believe you should put your money. It doesn't mean that you're going to make money all the time. Investments have risk, and you just got to understand those risks. And so that would say that's probably the third pro.
This episode is brought to you by Klaus Team Real Estate Solutions, powered by Real Broker. At the Klaus Team, we're focused on making sure our clients have the most solutions, the solid representation and risk mitigation they deserve, and an incredible experience from day one. For us, it's about 212. At 211 degrees, water's hot. At 212 degrees, water boils. Boiling water produces steam, and steam can power a locomotive. It's that one extra degree that makes all the difference. At the Klaus Team, we go the extra degree to make your real estate journey exceptional before, during, and after your purchase or sale. For us, it's not just about a transaction. From buying your dream home to purchasing wealth through investments, our 212 experience ensures outstanding service every step of the way. But don't just take our word for it. Check out our client reviews on Google or at klausteam.com/reviews. We're Klaus Team Real Estate Solutions, your real estate partner for life. So let's talk about the cons.
Okay. So the cons. I would say that, well, number one, retirement accounts, and just as it is, there's a limitation to the access to the money, right? So you're investing, you're contributing into these accounts for your retirement. So it's a long-term, the rules of the IRA, you can't touch the money without penalty, without 15.5. So for some people who, let's say, like real estate investing and they're used to, maybe like you, like they have a couple properties to live off the cash flow, they use that money. But that's also a con, right? Because at the same time, the returns you're making, you're not reinvesting.
Yeah.
You're typically consuming them. And so the compounding effect of a retirement account, when you are, have the ability to invest in strategies that can make you money and not pay taxes and compound because you're not taking it and going to Vegas with it, right? Those are, I would say, pros, but it's understanding that the access sometimes for the illiquidity is something that people bring up all the time.
They say it's a con, but I've found it to be a pro, is because I'm able to reinvest those and make it more, add to my retirement.
Well, just like I just said, like most private market investments are illiquid. Right? Real estate, illiquid. Private company investment, illiquid. Private note, illiquid. So, it doesn't mean you cannot gain liquidity from it, but you can't call your broker and be like, hey, send me the money tomorrow. There's not that liquidity. But keep in mind, these accounts are already structured to be illiquid. The government penalizes you for taking any money that you might need at any time before a certain age. So the asset strategies, if you have an appetite for something outside the stock market that are illiquid, these accounts are ideal to at least put those assets that are illiquid in an illiquid account that you can't touch anyways, right?
Yeah.
So if you like the stock market and you think you can make some, great. Use the money that is outside the stock market, that liquidity premium, that liquidity option is actually there. You call your broker, they send you the money, and you can use it.
Yeah.
If you made money, you're paying taxes on that, right? Capital gains. So, but you also have some benefits there on the depreciation on some things and losses on some things. So those are also the cons, is that you don't get some of those tax benefits. You get some tax benefits, but you don't get all tax benefits, right? So I would say that's a con. I think for a lot of our clients, there seems to always be a learning curve, right? This is a new concept for most people. Investing in some of these things are not new, but the learning curve of like, okay, well, now I just learned about this. What are all the rules? Like, what can I not do? How do I structure all the kind of nuances? There's an emotional kind of feeling of, I don't know if I know enough to take it to the next step. Yeah. So I think that for some people, that prevents that sometimes creates a hurdle. The other one is just your own perception of your own financial literacy, right? When you hear the word you're self-directed and you're responsible, that I love control. I love but that's me. For people that want to invest in some of these assets, but don't necessarily feel that they have the time, they have the literacy on the investment, they don't have access to deals. That's a barrier of entry. So you would need to understand that. And then, of course, from a transactional perspective, it's clunky. The self-directed IRAs, it's not like you can push a couple buttons and buy the rental property down the street, right? I mean, you're in real estate. So the transactional process in the private market, there's a lot of forms, there's documents, there's operating agreements, there's title companies, there's promissory notes, there's paper. Now we could try to digitize. We do. It's just done a good job. We have client portals, and you could do, but it's still not what I think. Sometimes there's still an effort and an understanding. So I think for some of our clients, it depends on how they structure their account. There is a little bit more effort, and I would call it hassle, right? Because you have to fill out a form. Who likes to fill out forms? Nobody, right? So that process is something that I would say some people think it's a con. That's pretty much it. The other thing is, I think for a lot of our clients, the government has created these accounts, but they've also put limits on how much you can contribute, right? When people start learning about this, they're like, so I can't just put $100,000 that I have over here and start investing in real estate tax-free. And they understand that there's a benefit there, but no, these accounts have contribution limits, right? And so those things for Roth IRAs, this is a tax-free vehicle to invest in real estate. For people that know how to make money in real estate, this is a huge advantage, but maybe they're making too much money and they are not eligible to make a contribution into a Roth. All these kind of things, that there's obviously strategies to try to get some money in there, but those I would think for people is everybody's, we once we learn the value and the power of these accounts, some of us get a little greedy. It's like, oh my God, now I want to just, there are rules.
That's to add cash, but you can take, if you've worked at a couple companies and things, you can combine.
Oh, absolutely. Roll over. Oh, yeah. If you've worked, you have an old 401k,
401k, IRA, all the different vehicles, you can then take
any amount of money that you've got in a retirement account with a traditional company. There's a way for those to either transfer to your self-directed account or roll over from your 401k. But every retirement account that exists in America can be self-directed into alternative assets. Again, the key, as I've said in other podcasts with you, is who's offering me the account, right? Well, I work for Intel, right? I work for Intel. Well, you have a plan sponsor for the Intel 401k, and there are rules within that plan document.
Yep.
And they're trust me, Fidelity as that is their plan sponsor, your investment choices are not going to be real estate.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean that you're not allowed to invest in a 401k in real estate. You can. Like, the Vantage 401k allows our employees to do both. So the accounts allow it, the rules allow it. It's just the companies that offer these accounts typically are structuring these plans to not allow it. So I think that's a very important point as to, we want everybody to understand that you have access to, take control of this money and invest it where you want on a tax-favored basis and enjoy all the flexibility, all the freedom, all the control, all the tax benefits that those accounts were intended to provide you. The sometimes hurdle is, if it's an IRA, you can transfer it. But if you're in a 401k, you're participating in that. You are participating in that specific plan, right, that has a plan document that has provisions and limitations and restrictions, and it's been designed a certain way. So you may not be able to roll that money if you're a current employee at Intel and roll it into a self-directed IRA with Vantage until you've terminated, you've disabled, dead, retirement age, or divorced. So those are triggers. But unless that happens, you are kind of stuck there. But those are things we help our clients and prospective clients to understand. We guide them through it.
So how do people get a hold of you to do that?
VantageIRAs.com is our website. VantageIRAS.com, and our phone number is 480-306-8404.
Thanks for doing this again.
Thanks for having me, Scott.
Thanks for spending time with us this week at State 48 Homeowner, the ins and outs of owning an Arizona home. You can connect with us for more information, submit topics you'd like us to further discuss. You can see relevant videos, give us feedback, answer your real estate questions, and more at state48homeowner.com.